Thank you so much for joining us tonight for Illuminating Hope. We're so excited to be engaged with all of our partners, community members, donors, program participants, staff, and our entire community. At this time, we would like to start our pre-program before we head into the Black Rock Room. And without no further ado, I would like to welcome to the microphone at this time our spirited leader, Carrie Guthrie, who's our president and CEO. I ask that you all welcome her with a rousing round of applause.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. I am Carrie Guthrie. Wow, that's really loud. The CEO of Cornerstone. I feel very honored to be in that position. I have been in that role for 13 years, actually, but I've been with the organization for over 30, because, of course, I started when I was 12. Anyway, I want to welcome everyone. It's been an amazing career here, and this place, Cornerstone, is an amazing place where we help a lot of people, and we can't do that without the support of the folks who are here today. And first, I love to welcome some of our biggest supporters in the county, and we will start. Okay, yeah. Well, yes, but we'll start with some council members. Our Vice President of the Council, Marilyn Balco.
Thank you. I think this is going to be okay. So, welcome everyone. My name is Marilyn Balcom, and I am the Council Vice President, but more importantly, I am the representative for District 2. So, welcome to Germantown, welcome to my district, and so happy that you're here. And welcome to the beautiful Black Rock Center for the Arts. This is such an amazing facility. Thank you for having your event here. We love to see this place just full of people, and it's very exciting. And so I'm here with my council member, Lorianne Sales, and we're going to give a proclamation certificate for Cornerstone Montgomery in honor of Illuminating Hope today, April 24th, with appreciation for your dedicated community service, enduring commitment to supporting, treating, and empowering people with mental health and substance abuse disorders, and with very best wishes on your continued success. And it's signed by a whole bunch of us, Lorianne and myself. Andrew Councilmember Andrew Friedson just texted me, and he's going to walk in the door any minute, so he wanted to send his very best. So,
I don't know. They're going to try to take it.
Suburb by the migrant belt. Thank you.
I just want to add that Councilmember Sales is the chair of the HHS committee, and that is very important to Cornerstone. We work a lot with that committee, and we appreciate her support. So thank you. Now I'm happy to welcome someone I've known for a long time. We are Rotary friends, and he has been elected quite a few years ago now to the state delegate, and I welcome Delegate Greg Wims.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. And like Councilmember Balcom said, I have the great honor of representing this area. This is District 39 in the State General Assembly. And no strangers to the great work that you do here. So thank all of you, the supporters and the staff, for what you're doing. And thank you for having many homes here in the Germantown area. So with that, I'm going to read a citation from the Maryland General Assembly. And it's short, so it's not that long. The Maryland General Assembly official citation. Be it hereby known to all, sincere congratulations are offered to Cornerstone. The creation of the enhanced in-home support program and its contributions to advancing accessible, effective, and compassionate behavioral health care for residents across Montgomery County. Presented this 24th day of April by Delegate Greg Wims, myself, Montgomery County, District 39. So congratulations.
I know, I saw. Because it's.
So, Councilmember Friedson, did you want to come up? Or it's up to you. I know you can't even catch your breath. Yeah, you're more than welcome to say. We're just greet you and want to say thank you for your support and thank you for being here tonight. And if you want to say score.
Sure, I'll make it very short.
Okay.
I'll just say thank you. The work that Cornerstone does, the work that you do, the work that you're supporting is so important. And we say that every year, but it's feeling more and more important every single year. The challenges that our community is facing, the pressure, the issues, the trauma, it's building. Every year you can feel it and we experience it, and Cornerstone is on the forefront of it. So thank you for doing what you do each and every day. It is literally God's work, and we are so lucky to have you. We say in Montgomery County, we like to live our values out loud. And I can't think of an organization that truly lives Montgomery County's values out loud each and every day. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's a real treat for us to be here tonight with you all as we come together to celebrate healing, the work being done here, resilience, and transformation of illumination of hope.
Speaking of treats, if you haven't already had a chance to try the Spark of Hope, it's the purple berry cocktail. When you do, make sure you eat the lemon zest at the bottom. It may come as a surprise, but it was candied when they made the berry syrup, and it's to die for.
It really sparked my hope.
Our first speaker for the night is Reverend Hitchcock. We are so grateful for our long-standing, just truly deep-rooted relationship with the St. Luke's Episcopal Church congregation.
And did you know St. Luke's was one of our founding partners? Cornerstone, formerly Threshold, formerly St. Luke's House, got started in the basement with a few members over 50 years ago.
You forgot formerly St. Luke's and Threshold Services United Incorporated. Don't forget that.
I couldn't get all that in.
It's been a few mergers and a few name changes, but they are still one of our closest friends and allies. They do so much to take care of our clients every day.
At church, I mostly go by Jessica, so that works for me. I am the pastor at St. Luke's Episcopal Church. And when I've been asked about that, that's the church that shares a parking lot with Southport. That's the way that you will probably know me. And so St. Luke's House is how our connection with Cornerstone started. So a long time ago, about 50 years ago, some people in my church, no, I wasn't there at the time, but some people at my church got together and they saw a need in the community. Now, I think that tonight is going to be a night full of things that help us exist in this world that we live in, that's hard and complicated and heartbreaking. But I think we're going to have a lot to learn tonight about how to exist and be in this world and be people of hope. So St. Luke's Church saw a need in the community and they got together, a group of people. I want to really highlight that this wasn't one person with a lot of money. It was a group of people with some money, definitely, but more than money, they had that impetus, that calling, that the people that they wanted to reach out to were their neighbors. That's something that the world needs now. We talk about how dangerous it is to practice othering people and creating that distance with people. Somebody taught me the phrase about neighboring people and making them really acknowledging our neighborliness and digging into that. So these people at St. Luke's Church got together and saw a need, and they formed St. Luke's House again in the church basement. And that is how at least that part of what is now Cornerstone came into existence. So I want to commend you all to, if you see a need out there in the world, don't think I gotta wait for the person with the know-how and the money to fix that problem. Be like, I'm gonna get together with my people and figure out what we can do, because that's something that we can do in this world. Another thing I want to commend to you is that eventually St. Luke's house outgrew the basement, and that was a blessing, and moved across the parking lot, and all of those things happened, and there was a letting go that had to happen. That at one time, St. Luke's house was part of a St. Luke's church budget, and then there was a needed time when things got to be big and complicated, and it felt like the right time for St. Luke's house to be separate financially and board and all of those things. So sometimes you make something that's doing good in the world, but then you have to be willing to let it go so that it can grow. So that's another thing that we can learn and how to exist in this world, is to be willing to not hold on tightly to control things, but to be willing to let things go and to let them grow. Finally, I want to commend you all to just pay attention tonight to all the stories, because every time I come into contact with the ministries of Cornerstone, I am inspired and I am given hope. It just makes me aware that change and transformation and goodness is possible in this world. And so I look forward to this night of having my soul and spirit nurtured, so that way we can take that goodness out into the world. Thank you.
Now, our next speaker actually used to be in my department. She's gone from the residential rehabilitation team to foundations. She then was on my administrative team and has now advanced into our development team.
In my house, she's grown. I mean, really. She's really grown. So let's get her out here. Well, we have her for a couple more weeks.
She's leaving for maternity leave very soon, so we got to get this done while we can. Maggie Segru, the floor is yours. Please come on.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Tonight is called Illuminating Hope for a reason, because so often the people who come to Cornerstone are walking through some of the darkest moments of their lives, overwhelmed, in crisis, unsure if things can get better. And in those moments, they may not be able to hold on to hope for themselves. So we hold it for them. We meet people in the dark, and together we help them find the light. That is where this idea began, because hope is not one moment, it's a journey. And tonight you'll see that journey come through life together. In front of you, you will find a bracelet. Thank you to our sponsor, Paycom, for helping us illuminate hope and shine a light on the work we do. Wear this bracelet proudly tonight as you learn about our entire body of life-saving work. Each time your wristband changes, it represents a different part of that path, different programs, different turning points, but all connected by one shared purpose, helping someone move from darkness into the light. When your wristband glows yellow, it represents our youth, children full of potential. This carries warmth, energy, and possibility. It reflects those early moments when intervention can change the entire course of a young life. And when your bracelets turn navy blue, we stand in the most critical moments, crisis. This is the work that happens at all hours, in real time when someone needs immediate support. It is steady, it is life-saving, it is the difference between despair and survival. And when it shifts to green, we honor their resilience, the strength of the individuals rebuilding their lives in our residential and adult rehabilitation program. It is growth, stability, the quiet courage of starting again. And when you see orange, you're witnessing movement, forward motion into purpose. This is our supported employment and vocational services, where individuals find not just jobs, but dignity, independence, and a renewed sense of self. And when the room softens into sky blue, we enter a space of trust. This represents our clinic and integrated health services, where healing happens through compassionate, coordinated care of both mind and body. Each color tells a story, but together they tell one story. A story of walking beside someone at every stage of life, a story of never letting go. And for me, this is deeply personal. A few years ago, I lost a family member to suicide. It's the kind of loss that stays with you. The questions, the grief, the wondering what could have made a difference. And now as I prepare to bring a child into this world, I think about what it means to create a different future. A future where people are met in their dark moments, where hope is not out of reach. And that is what Cornerstone does every single day. But we cannot do it alone. So tonight, I'm asking you to be part of this. Make a gift that is meaningful to you. A gift that helps ensure a child gets early intervention, a family stays together, and a person in crisis is never alone. Because hope doesn't just happen. It is built by all of us. I'd like you to look around the room now. As all of our wristbands come together, every color, every program, every life touch, this is what hope looks like. Not one moment, not one service, but a full continuum of care, a community, a promise that no one has to walk through darkness alone. Thank you for being part of that light. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our marketing manager, Shane Sr., who will help us recognize the incredible partners who made this work possible.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shane Sr., and I am the Manager of Marketing and Communications here at Cornerstone. I previously had the privilege of working in the vocational program before stepping into my current role, which means that I got to see something special every day. Thank you. I get to see what happens when businesses and organizations choose to open their doors, take a chance, and invest in people. Because vocational work is not just employment, it's about dignity. It's about purpose. It is about someone realizing that they have something to offer. And that does not happen alone. It happens because of partnerships. It happens because organizations in this community say yes. And that's why tonight matters. Because the same people who make the work possible every day are also the ones who step up to support us in rooms like this. Our sponsors are not separate from our mission. They are a part of it. They are the backbone of what we do. They help create the opportunities we talk about. They help turn the moments into progress and progress into possibility. And quite simply, they help us illuminate hope. So at this time, I would like to recognize and thank all of our sponsors who are illuminated behind me. Thank you for your partnership, your belief in this work, and thank you for standing with Cornerstone.
It's now my honor to invite to the stage someone who's been with our organization for more than 30 years now. With those 30 years of service, she's taken on many roles across the agency, each one deepening her insight, strengthening her leadership, and reinforcing her commitment to our mission, vision, and values. In 2012, she stepped into the role of CEO, bringing with her not only decades of experience, but a perspective grounded in compassion, service, and unwavering dedication. Please join me in welcoming Carrie Guthrie.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Carrie Guthrie, and I am President and CEO of Cornerstone. And I'm grateful for your, I am grateful for your presence here tonight. You are not just sitting in a room. You are inside our daily work. Right now, we are navigating a landscape that has become more complex. There are challenges that affect our ability to do that work, to illuminate hope. These are not the challenges that our clients face personally, but they are challenges that impact how effective Cornerstone can be. We are facing federal uncertainty around Medicaid funding with H.R. 1, entering a third consecutive year without a Medicaid rate increase from the state, and locally a 50% cut to our residential rehabilitation supplement for 232 beds in this county, which is a loss of more than $300,000 or 5 residential counselors who are vital to our clients' stability. At the same time, the cost of business continues to rise and the needs of those we serve continue to grow. And still, we will continue to illuminate hope. We will continue to be bearers of hope for the people we serve and support them in their journey. If you look around, you'll begin to see the lights moving across the room again. And in a moment, you might see it on your wrist, something that is not fully stable. For many of the people we serve, this is where their story begins. They told me I would never have a job because I have a substance use disorder. They told me I could never live on my own because I have a mental illness. They told me I would never have a real life. These are things that we often hear from our clients, but we know they are not true. We have so many success stories to believe otherwise. But over time, words like this begin to sound like truth and limit what someone believes is possible in their life. And when the mental health is part of that story, it challenges recovery, debilitating depression that can make even getting out of bed seem impossible, anxiety that forces simple decisions into overwhelming barriers, and conditions like schizophrenia that disrupt perception, trust, and stability. That instability shows up in daily life, in missed opportunities, in uncertainty, and nothing feels steady. And that affects the families too. All of it is part of the story. And that is where we meet people. In the moment where everything feels uncertain and the future feels smaller than it should, we show up so that they feel seen. We stay long enough for stability to begin to take hold. And slowly, something changes. The instability softens, the possibilities expand. Someone gets a job. Someone signs a lease. Someone begins to believe again. This is what it means to illuminate hope, not all at once, but in the moments that become steady. And tonight, you can see that shift happening from something uncertain to something steady. Every light around you, every bracelet now holding steady, reflects what happens when someone is supported long enough to believe again. This year, we will walk alongside more than 3,000 individuals to stand between what someone has been told and what is actually possible. And we do not do this work alone. We are partners in possibility. Families, staff, community, and every one of you in this room helps make it possible. Together, we become what people need in those moments. Together, we become bearers of hope. So when you support us, you are not just supporting services. You are helping us illuminate hope. If you are moved, if you are encouraged by what you see in here tonight, I invite you to support this work, to stand with us as partners, partners in possibility, and help us illuminate hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carrie. So as you know, Cornerstone supports individuals and families through challenges, services that are rooted in dignity, support, and hope. Coming up next, I would like to introduce our Chief Program Officer, Lisa H. Katz.
Most people remember moments in their lives, a moment where something shifted and things fell apart. That's where our work lives, in these moments. At Cornerstone, we show up when someone realizes they can't keep going. A moment a family doesn't know what to do next, when everything feels uncertain, when there is no clear path forward. And in that moment, we show up and crisis becomes stability. Robin, please help me to illuminate our crisis services.
At Cornerstone, we meet people in the hardest moments of their lives. Not when things are stable, but when everything feels like it's coming apart. That's where residential crisis services come in. When someone arrives, they're overwhelmed, disoriented, and sometimes afraid. They've lost their footing and they don't know what comes next. What we offer in that moment is immediate support, care available around the clock with clinical support, medication management when it's needed, and a safe place to stabilize. There's no waiting period and no complicated handoff. People are met as they are when they need it. Last year, more than 300 people came through our doors in crisis. And what happens after that matters. Symptoms began to settle, things start to feel manageable again, and a plan begins to take shape. Instead of cycling through repeated hospitalizations, people leave with a clear next step and a connection to ongoing care. We don't move people through a system. We take care of them. This is where someone can slow down enough to breathe again, where they're treated like a person and not a case, and where hope starts to feel possible. Because before anything else can happen, someone has to believe that they can get through just that night. Sarah came to Cornerstone after years of cycling through psychiatric hospitalizations, living with serious mental illness and substance use that left her without stability or direction. She entered residential crisis services at a point where her symptoms were acute and unmanaged, and where even short-term stability felt out of reach. In that setting, she received immediate clinical intervention, including psychiatric evaluation, medication management, and 24-hour therapeutic support and stabilization for her symptoms, and also to reduce the risk. But it did not stop there. As she moved beyond crisis, her care transitioned intentionally across our continuum. Through our outpatient mental health clinic, she worked consistently with a prescriber to find the right medication regimen and engaged in evidence-based therapies, including dialectical behavioral therapy, to build emotional regulation and coping skills. Within our residential rehabilitation program, she developed structure and daily living skills needed to manage her illness in a real-world environment, supported by staff who reinforce those clinical gains every single day. Over time, that integration of clinical treatment and programmatic support allowed her to move from instability to independence. Today, she lives in her own apartment, maintains her own treatment, and has sustained her recovery without hospitalization for nearly a decade. A reflection of what is possible when care is continuous, coordinated, and centered around the whole person.
A job is more than a paycheck. It's purpose, identity, and connection. Too often, people living with mental illness are told they need to be ready to work. But what does it mean to be ready, and why should someone have to wait? At Cornerstone, we believe work is a part of recovery. If someone wants to work, we help them do that. Hope is not just something we feel, it's something we build. And work is one of the most direct ways to build it. It gives people a sense of belonging and a reason to show up for their own life. That work looks different for each person. For some, it begins with building confidence and basic skills through our psychiatric rehabilitation. For others, it's hands-on support through supported employment, helping with job searches, applications, interviews, staying connected once they're hired. And for individuals who are in crisis or residential care, employment is often one of the steps in rebuilding stability. It's not one path, it's a progression, and we stay with people through it. When Samantha came to us, she had never worked. She didn't know what she was good at or where she fit. A job felt out of reach. So we didn't just start, we started small, and we started with her. A conversation, small steps. At one point, that meant simply walking into a coffee shop that she had never felt confident enough to enter before. From there, things began to shift. Her confidence grew, she started applying. There were rejections, but she kept going, and eventually she heard yes. Today she is employed, independent, and building a life that feels like her own. Last year, more than 600 individuals were supported through our employment and vocational services, many starting for that same place of uncertainty. Because when someone finds purpose, it doesn't just change their circumstances, it changes the direction of their life.
And sometimes that moment comes earlier. In young people, in families, in futures still being shaped. Alex, please help me illuminate the path forward for young adults.
A few years ago, I met a young man on a video call. He was calling from a prison in Colorado. That's not where we get most of our referrals, if you can imagine. But this was a local kid, local family. He grew up like a lot of kids around here. Good student, played sports, got himself a scholarship, and went off to school. And then within 6 months, everything changed. He experienced a psychotic break while he was away at college, stopped going to class, lost touch with his friends, parents, lost his housing, and ended up on the street. Eventually, he was incarcerated. By the time he came to us, he had been through all of that alone. He didn't understand what was happening or what came next for him. Through our transition age youth programs and our residential programs, we gave him something different. We didn't just find him a place to stay. We built a plan around him. Daily structure, clinical care, med management, and support navigating housing, employment, education. Most importantly, he had somebody standing by him, walking with him through it all. His progress was not linear or perfect, but it was real. He moved from our intensive residential care into less restrictive housing, and eventually into his own place. He didn't just find a job, but he grew his skills, he earned certifications, and he created stability for himself. He reconnected with his parents and stayed engaged in his care. Today, he's living independently in the community. And he's not alone. Last year, 146 young adults were served through our transition age youth programs, with more than half securing employment as they work towards their own independence. This is what it looks like to change what comes next. I think about that a lot as a parent. My daughter's turning 9 soon, and I can already see how fast that next chapter is coming for us. We all want to believe that we can protect our kids from everything. But 1 in 5 young people will face a mental health challenge before they leave high school. That's not someone else's child. It's all of ours. What brings me peace is knowing that if that moment ever comes, for me or people I care about, there's a place that will meet that person with care, structure, consistency, a place that doesn't just respond to the crisis, but also helps build around that individual for what comes next and stays with them long enough to see it through.
And then comes the work of staying steady. Not just getting through a moment, but creating consistency. Janine, please help me illuminate the work of recovery.
Let me tell you all about Penelope. She's a very bright, motivated, funny person, someone who genuinely loves learning and working with young children. But at 21, while she was away at college, she developed a serious mental illness. Over the next few years, she struggled to find her footing and eventually came to our psychiatric rehabilitation program. Over the next few years, she struggled to find her footing and eventually came to our psychiatric rehabilitation program. After her psychiatrist became concerned, she was losing her ability to live independently. When she arrived, the challenges were real. She was having trouble taking her medications, consistently managing her finances, and keeping up with basic responsibilities like paying her bills. She had started isolating herself. Her living space had become more and more disorganized, and she had been hospitalized twice just in the previous 6 months. This is where psychiatric rehabilitation begins. Not with a single intervention, but the work of rebuilding daily life. Penelope and her rehabilitation counselor started with structure. They created a plan for medication monitoring, organized her bills, and set up a schedule she could follow. They worked on routines. They practiced skills. Even something like socializing again started small. Often with her counselor alongside her until she felt ready to do it on her own. That's what this program actually looks like. It's learning how to manage and how to follow through with every day, how to take care of yourself in ways that make stability possible. It's grocery shopping, transportation, appointments, conversations, and responsibilities. Small things repeated consistently until they hold. Over time, those steps added up. Penelope began meeting her goals and setting new ones. She started working part-time as a tutor. She joined a reading club. She reconnected with family and friends. She hasn't been hospitalized in over a year, and that's a really good accomplishment for her. She's not back in school yet, but she's thinking about it, and more importantly, she's enjoying her life again. Penelope has developed a deeper understanding of her mental health, and is proud of the progress she has made. She knows she may need medication long term, but she also knows that doesn't define her future. She's realizing she can still have a full, meaningful life, and in her own words, she's enjoying her life again. This is just a glimpse of why we do this work. This is where progress becomes real, where stability becomes consistent, and where someone starts to believe they can actually do this.
And for many, stability becomes something even more basic. Having a place to land, a place to stay, a place to begin again. Alex, please help me to illuminate the stability of residential care.
When James came to Cornerstone, he was stuck in a cycle. At the beginning of each month, when his check came in, he would use. Soon after, he would end up in the hospital. He would stabilize, engage just enough in treatment, and then the cycle would start again. Staff were generally worried he wasn't going to survive. That began to change when he moved into our integrated treatment of co-occurring disorders home. This program is different because it combines mental health and substance use treatment. It doesn't separate them. It brings them together every day. Mental health care and substance use counseling happen side by side. There's medication, support, group therapy, daily structure, and staff who are present consistently, not just during a crisis, but throughout the process. A typical day has rhythm to it. People wake up with a plan, check in with staff, attend groups, manage their medications, and work on the routines that help them stay stable. It's steady, it's consistent, and it's built to hold someone through the moments when things could go either way. For James, the change wasn't immediate. The cycle didn't disappear overnight, but when he was open, staff was there and ready to meet him where he was. They worked with him to reduce his use, and over time, he stopped. He stayed engaged, he kept showing up, and the consistency started to take hold. A year later, people who knew him said he looked like a different person, healthier, more grounded. He moved from intensive care into a less restrictive home, built the skills to manage his life, and stayed connected to treatment in a way that worked for him. Today, he has not been hospitalized in years. He's become a stabilizing force for those around him. And last year, we celebrated 10 years of sobriety with him. That's what this program makes possible. It doesn't just interrupt the cycle, it replaces it with something steady and sustainable. Last year, 378 individuals were served through our residential rehabilitation program, with hospitalization rates staying below 6% and many moving into more independent housing. This is what it looks like when care is consistent, integrated, and strong enough to last.
And throughout all of this, there are moments most people never see. The private moments where everything is on the line. Last year, more than 300 individuals came through our crisis services. Over 600 were supported through employment and vocational programs. 146 young adults were served through our transitional age youth programs. 435 individuals engaged in psychiatric rehabilitation, with over 2,100 instances of people staying out of the hospital. And 378 individuals were supported throughout our residential programs. with hospitalization rates below 6%. Those numbers matter, but what matters more is what happens because of them. Fewer people returning to the hospital, more people staying housed, more people working, reconnecting, and building a life that feels like their own. This doesn't happen because of one moment. It happens because we stay through crisis, through stability, through what happens next. Because in the end, our programs are not just services. They are people showing up for other people and staying long enough to see what's possible. That is how we illuminate hope.
Dr. Joy Chang is our Chief Medical Officer who oversees our outpatient mental health clinics and provides clinical guidance across all of our programs, ensuring that the care that we deliver is not only comprehensive, but also thoughtful, evidence-based, and centered on each individual we serve. Her steady commitment and clinical vision strengthens the foundation of our work and helps illuminate a path forward for so many in our community. Please help me welcome the lovely Dr. Chang.
Thank you, Marissa. Yes, good evening. I believe I am the last person between you and food, so just hang with me. My name is Dr. Joy Chang, and I am a psychiatrist and addiction specialist by training. I do have the pleasure of serving as our organization's Chief Medical Officer. And what this really means is that I have the privilege of supporting and activating the work of some incredibly committed and mission-driven teams across multiple departments. And so I'm here tonight to really share the value of what they do every day. The need for the work continues to grow. The reality is that roughly 1 in 4 adults have experienced some form of mental illness. Many of us in this room are connected to that reality in some way, and that connection is exactly why you are here tonight, whether through your work, your families, or our community. The issue is not whether there is a need. The challenge at hand now is whether we can evolve our systems of care in a way that is accessible, equitable, and ultimately sustainable to meet the escalating need. Under the leadership of Dr. Tara Keeley, our 3 outpatient mental health clinics specialize in serving individuals with what is termed serious mental illness, or otherwise SMI. These are conditions such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder that significantly affect a person's ability to function day to day. Nationally, about 6% of adults live with SMI, and this is a population that benefits from highly coordinated multidisciplinary care. The wonderful examples of hope that you've heard so far tonight do not happen by chance. It all begins with access and accurate diagnosis, early symptom stabilization through medication and therapeutic interventions, and the synergy of a team to meaningfully engage and to change the trajectory of otherwise devastating illness. Our integrated health nursing department, led by David Bridges, focuses on another reality that is often overlooked. Individuals with SMI have significantly shorter life expectancy, sometimes by 10 to 25 years. The primary drivers are not psychiatric symptoms alone, but chronic medical conditions that go untreated or are identified too late. Mental health and physical health are still treated separately, and unfortunately, the fragmentation extends well beyond this. Consider your own care and the complexity that comes with navigating insurance, navigating multiple specialists, correcting prescriptions, and why does nobody in medicine ever seem to be talking to each other? I'm trying to fix that. Now imagine this from the eyes of one diagnosed with a psychotic illness. The role of the integrated health department is to help bridge that gap, to advocate for the client, and to again gain synergy of a broken piece, synergize the broken pieces of the healthcare system, not only to extend life, but to give quality of life. As a mentor once impressed upon me, this work is all for naught if not to build a life worth living. Under the leadership of Director Kevin Hansen, Cornerstone is one of 5 organizations in the entire state of Maryland in the running for federal recognition as a certified community behavioral health clinic. The CCBHC model is a framework that spans the vast majority of our individual departments. It is a federally funded model of care that has gained sustained, strong federal bipartisan support over many years and is one of the very few preserved federal funding streams available to behavioral health. It bundles cost provisions to support expansion of access, holds recipients accountable to quality, and aligns funding more closely with the actual cost of providing care. For organizations such as ours, it represents a more stable and comprehensive way to deliver services in this resource-constrained environment. My sincere hope is that the exhaustive work of our collective executive management team and Kevin will bear fruit, and that by this time next year, we can proudly present ourselves as a formal site. To our clinical partners and our colleagues in government who are here tonight, thank you for being here. I am humbled by your accomplishments and your thought leadership, and we are grateful to have your support and partnership. In this constrained economic environment, we are committed to a strategic alliance to strengthen our public behavioral health safety net with you and alongside you to provide the care our population deserves. Let's give them a round of applause. I will close with this. Society already pays a price for health care. Health insurance costs have risen faster than wages, with dramatic increases in premiums even in this past year. In parallel, billions of dollars of venture capital have flowed into the development of digital mental health platforms. And yet the gaps in our public system still persist, with the same silos of care and the same challenges with access and inequity. The issue is not simply the level of investment, it is whether we can come together around a shared vision of how that investment is directed, when the real cost is actually an individual's opportunity to live a full and meaningful life. What we are working to build is a system that is accountable to outcomes, integrated across disciplines and across partners, and accessible to the individuals who rely on it most. Your support is paramount to our mission, not only through financial contribution, but through your time, your engagement, and your voice to share our mission beyond this room. Thank you.
But speaking of rapid expansion, in 2023, Cornerstone acquired the Southern Maryland Community Network, say that 4 times fast. And we expanded our services into Calvert, Charles, and St. Mary's County. And at the time of the acquisition, our next presenter was pretty much the director of that one year everything in Southern Maryland. So she's going to come up and tell you a little bit more about our programs.
As those programs become truly intertwined, Janine's come to hand over the reins of some of them and is now leading the supported living program, the community-based services in every county.
Yes.
Thank you, Janine.
Janine Carlson.
Yeah, so I just want to tell you just a little bit about some of our youth services. I've done a lot of work with kids, and this is these are services that are near and dear to my heart. So we have proudly and successfully been providing intensive in-home services to minors, kids ages 5 through 17 with serious behavioral health issues at Cornerstone for many years. Due to a recent increase, though, in received grant funding, we are now able to provide more children with the desperately needed intensive services, and we're able to offer these to publicly insured kids, privately insured kids, and uninsured kids because of the nice grant program that we have received in the last couple of years. So we're feeling really good about that. And these services include an average of 7 in-home visits a month, each for 30 minutes to 2 hours in duration, and it's according to each child's needs. The caseloads are purposely kept smaller to allow each rehab counselor adequate time to prepare specific therapeutic interventions for each child and family unit. So all of the rehabilitation counselors in this program also receive weekly direct supervision from a licensed mental health professional. And they do this in a group setting a lot of times. So they benefit from sharing their ideas and therapeutic interventions. We pair this with adventure-based outdoor counseling at the Greenwell Foundation. That's also in St. Mary's County. And they get to participate in a lot of different activities like equine therapy. They work with different animals. They do a lot of arts and crafts stuff and a lot of stuff like yoga and that involves physical movement. The combination of these interventions has proven to be quite cathartic for the children that we serve. The primary focus is always on keeping kids in the home. A lot of these kids were at risk of out-of-home placements or were coming back from out-of-home placements. So we want to keep them in the home with their families by providing them and their caregivers with the tools that they need to overcome the challenges and help them to be able to thrive side by side. It is imperative that we continue to reach out to these kids to provide the compassionate care and the support that they require so that they can have rich, fulfilling, and successful lives. Thank you.
We should. In fairness, they are affected by mental and behavioral health needs. Cornerstone is making impactful and sustainable change throughout Montgomery, Calvert, Charles, and St. Mary's counties.
I've been impacted a lot by Cornerstone since Mr. Eric has came to my house, but we gradually became better and better at becoming more focused, and maybe now we're good friends.
Before we were involved with Cornerstones, Maggie looked very different. He was unable to manage his emotions. I was unable to go outside to just get a couple minutes to myself. Matthew has made a complete 180. I am able to enjoy parenting now, which was a struggle before. He is able to do activities independently and regulate his emotions right.
Before the Cornerstones, I was very mean. And now that Cornerstones has helped us, I can now pick my mom.
We are lucky enough to connect with our next speaker through the Greater Bethesda Chamber of Commerce, where she serves as the VP of Marketing, Communication, and Events. Now, on our board of directors, she's also using those skills as our development chair. Please give it up for Clarissa Harris.
Good evening. I'm Clarissa Harris, and I have the privilege of serving as the development chair at Cornerstone. Before I speak about this work, I want to tell you why I'm here and why it matters to me. I serve and I give as a love letter to members of my family, some who found their Cornerstone and are thriving, and some who unfortunately didn't, but could have been so much more had they found their Cornerstone. As a member of the board and chair of development, I have the opportunity to not only see the impact of this work, but what it takes to sustain it. Everything you've heard tonight, the clinical care, the housing, the employment support, stability, none of it happens without intentional investment. The work is made possible by the people who choose to stand behind it. Individuals, families, partners, all of you in this room. As a board, we have the privilege and the responsibility to ensure this work continues and grows and reaches the people who need it most. Because the need is not static, it is ongoing, and in many ways, it is growing. That means our response must grow too. Your dollars make the difference. For individuals, for the families that love them, and for those without families to love them. Your dollars make the difference for the programs that rehabilitate people and for you as you experience your community as a place where fewer people are in crisis and those who are met with the care that they need. When you invest in this work, you do not have to wonder where it goes. You see it and you feel it. You experience it as part of the fabric of your community in real lives, real outcomes, and people who are building stability and moving forward in ways that once felt out of reach. And in just a moment, you're going to see that impact directly. We are about to honor a client whose journey reflects what is possible when clinical care, community support, and consistent investment all come together. Thank you for your decision to be here tonight, for your partnership, and for considering making an additional gift that is meaningful to you and to many. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I trust that you all are having a wonderful time at our Illuminating Hope event. So we are here to give a very special award to a very special introduction. And at Cornerstone, we often talk about hope, but tonight we're here to recognize something deeper. And that's what it means to go beyond. The Beyond Award honors someone who has moved beyond their diagnosis, beyond their barriers, and beyond the moments that could have defined their life. Susan, our wonderful client, has started her journey at just 10 years old, navigating serious mental health challenges that led to multiple hospitalization and years of treatment-resistant depression. There were long stretches where getting through a single day required everything she had, and still she chose to try. Susan is a contributor to Cornerstone Connections, our newsletter that reaches 12,000 people a month, and she has supported our fundraising efforts with her ideas and her insights. And our most impactful fundraising annual campaign was because of her sharing her story. She has taken what she's lived and turned it into something that lifts others. And that's what going beyond looks like. Carrie?
So we say that we are bearers of hope, but honestly, Susan is probably the best example of what a bearer of hope can really look like. Not because of everything that she's faced, but because of everything that she has built. And she is going to come up here and she is going to tell you her story in a way better than I ever could. She has used her voice, as Quincy said, to help others, and she's used her voice to help Cornerstone, and we are definitely the better for it. And it is our honor tonight to recognize her with the Beyond Award. Please welcome us in welcoming and honoring Susan Cornspan. And as is our tradition, when we give awards, they come from our Studio Insight program, which is our art studio that we have. And so this says Beyond Award, Susan Cornspan, 2626. Thank you for everything. Okay, you got the thing? You're good to go? Here. There you go. You don't need to get real close. You're good.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out to support Cornerstone Montgomery. I wish to describe just how my life improved and was saved using the services for people with mental illness. 1 in 5 persons has a mental illness. I've had one for 53 years. At first, when I was just 10 years old, I was terribly depressed and was teased at school by kids until I displayed panic attacks. I kept sorrowful feelings and worried thoughts to myself, not mentioning it to my family, until every evening when I would call the Montgomery County hotline. In junior high, I was told by a family member that I was getting fat, which horrified me. so I developed anorexia. My mom screamed at me at every meal to eat, but I didn't listen. When I graduated from high school, I only weighed 90 pounds. I went away to college at Mary Washington College in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and ate better, but I cried silent tears down my face every day in the library while doing my homework. I had hoped to make friends and have fun, but my depression got in the way. I came home after 1 year and forced myself to get a part-time job cutting car keys and engraving things just so I didn't have to deal with people. Between the ages of 18 and 22, I had 2 hospitalizations for suicidal depression, and I started hearing voices. I was told that my diagnosis is called schizoaffective disorder. At one hospitalization place, a psychologist told me, "You are ruining your life and your parents' lives." I felt misunderstood due to my psychosis. The day after I was discharged, my dad informed me the hospital cost him over $10,000. I didn't say anything, I just felt guilty, but knew the hospitalizations were important because I was finally started on daily medication. But I still felt terribly alone with my problems. When I was 25, after having my mental illness for 15 years, I got the opportunity to join the St. Luke's House group home. Beforehand, I asked my mom whether I should move, and she said no. She believed mental illness should be overcome with enough willpower. However, I knew it took more than that. After this long, lonely journey, I could only hope this move would lead to a new way of life for me, and it did. I love the group homes counselors and the therapists. At the weekly house meetings, we talked about our stress, and it became more manageable. Nothing I said was bad, and they accepted me as I was. For the first time in my life, I felt happy. Cornerstone gave me a job coach who gave me weekly, steady, calm support. I took a class at Montgomery College every semester for 15 years until I earned an AA degree. My job coach also helped me learn secretarial skills, so I worked part-time for 26 years for private industry, then full-time for 17 years for the federal government at FDA. I moved from 2 group homes to 2 supervised apartments, and then I bought a townhouse, which my mom sold to me, where I still live by myself with my cat 25 years later. I earned the Charlie Gilchrist Achievement Award from St. Luke's House in 2002 and 2 awards from private industry, one called the Mensch Award and the other called the Make It Happen Award. Now I am extremely honored and practically speechless to earn the Beyond Award from Cornerstone this year. They have been a milestone of positive support for me. Even when my illness acts up, they adjust with me. 6 years ago, I had 4 hospitalizations in a row in 1 year for treatment-resistant depression and was referred for ECT, which is electroconvulsive therapy, which is 80 to 90% effective against depression. I have ECT every 3 weeks, year-round at Sibley Hospital, along with daily medication. Unfortunately, the ECT gave me some memory loss, so 5 years ago, my niece Nicole helped me retire on disability from my secretarial job. Now, for the past year, I have written monthly articles on topics for Cornerstone Montgomery's newsletter, and they're glad to receive them. I give back to them because they give me hope. At individual therapy in the day program, I'm asked the right questions. They see me as a whole person and see healing is up and down. They give me dignity and compassion. I changed from a person scared of people to a person who shares her life and gets support back. I take care of Duchess, my 12-year-old cat, and have relationships with friends, family, including the 7 people that are here tonight. Neighbors and people from church. What an amazing life I've lived with Cornerstone Montgomery for 39 years. I think I will still continue to grow. Thank you for doing such a great job, Cornerstone Montgomery. God bless you. I am glad to have you in my life. Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Okay.
Susan, I'm unsure if we're just supposed to simply move on from that, but what you just did reminded us of the power of hope in action, and it showed us what it actually looks like, not something captured in an annual report or a social media graphic, but something lived. This evening, you saw the story of a child illuminated, a child standing on the fragile edge between belonging and displacement, a child who could have been reduced to a case file, a placement, or a transfer from one door to another, but instead was met, they were held, and they were seen. This evening, you saw illuminated the story of someone in crisis, not after the damage was done, but the moment it hardened into something permanent. But in real time, in that breaking point, the space where everything could have potentially fallen apart. You also saw the story of someone rebuilding their life illuminated, not through grand gestures, not in headlines, but in the quiet, sacred work of the bearers of hope here at Cornerstone. And we saw their life begin to look like something whole again. And here's the truth that sits underneath all of this that I want you all to lean into tonight. Every single one of these stories that we told you could have gone another way. That child could have been taken miles away from everything familiar, a bag packed without understanding, to a room in which no one knew their name, a system that knew their history, but not their heart. And in another version, that same child could become a story people talk about in past tense. A name attached to an incident, a life redirected before it ever had been given the chance to unfold. That moment of crisis could have escalated, not into care, but into consequence. A moment where confusion turns into confrontation and pain becomes something the system responds to instead of something the system understands. And suddenly their life is defined by that moment, reduced, contained, misunderstood. That life could have stayed broken, and that kind of brokenness when someone disappears from the world without ever leaving it, slipping through the cracks, unseen and untreated. And sometimes these individuals, they decide to leave this world, gone far too soon. And the difference between these parallel realities was not just chance, it was the arrival of hope. And you see, the wonderful thing about Cornerstone is that's what we do. All of us, our collective staff, we are bearers of hope. And that is what you have heard tonight, that our staff are leading the charge, and our staff, represented behind me, are the bearers of hope. These are the people who reach someone in that same moment when no one else will show up for them. There's always another version of a story, a version where things don't stabilize, a version where things spiral, a version where life becomes something that the world moves past too quickly. And beside that version is an individual, not an idea, not a category, but a person. It is one that when one door opens, another one closes. Those are the parallels that we live through at Cornerstone. But the thing I love about coming to work here every day at Cornerstone is that we believe in tomorrow. We know that tomorrow could talk. And we believe that everyone has a chance at tomorrow. And we know that tomorrows don't speak in abstractions. They will say to an individual that I'm still here. I'm the morning that you have not seen yet. I'm that blind date you have not gone on yet. I'm the conversation you have not had. And tomorrow arrives on its own. It is carried, it is built by our staff at Cornerstone. And we take this work very responsibly. We take it seriously. We do not simply hope. We build systems that sustain the hope. We invest in the people that can deliver hope, and we balance what compassionate care and accountability looks like. So tonight, this is not a gentle act. This is not a soft moment. And truly, I have just actually heard from my fundraising staff that we are truly shy of our donation amount this evening. So tonight, I'm going to challenge you all not to give, but to make a decision. If you believe what has happened for Susan and all the stories that we have shown you, and you believe that these should not be rare, isolated incidents, meet me outside at one of our donation booths right outside or right in the back here. I'm asking you to be partners in this work, to step directly into it, to invest in this work, because your gift tonight is not symbolic. It's not just a simple tax-deductible gift. It is the difference between an individual being met or being missed. It's the difference between a family staying together or becoming undone. It's the difference between someone choosing to keep going or losing the strength to try. That's the weight of this moment. Because hope, it doesn't happen on its own. It's built, and contrary to most opinions, it is actually funded. It is chosen, it is deliberate, and it's defiant, and most of all, it's full of fortitude. So tonight, I ask you to choose someone who cannot choose for themselves, who has not had a tomorrow like Susan has had. And tonight was never meant to be a program. It was built to be a window illuminating our work, illuminating what happens when someone is met in time and what happens when they are not. So as you continue to move throughout this evening that is coming to a close, I'm asking you to stop by this donation booth. Stop by our giving kiosk. We have staff who are more than happy to help you make a donation tonight and make a gift that means something. As we approach Mental Health Awareness Month, I ask you to give your gift in honor of an individual that you may not know. Because somewhere right now in our local community, someone is standing in that moment. And whether they're met or missed can often depend on what we do tonight. So I leave you with those thoughts, and I encourage you to not simply just be partners in the work, but be investors in this work. I thank you all for coming tonight and showing up for Cornerstone, but more than anything, I thank you for all that you've done to help us realize our mission.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. It's my pleasure to have you all here and be part of the board. It's been a great pleasure to be on the board. And as Marissa said, I am one of the Southern Maryland Community Network board members. So for the essence of time, we thought since Quincy is still looking for some numbers, we'll raffle off on the highest bidder and we'll see. So I will not read my full speech here tonight. So please see Quincy in the back. No, I won't do that. Because like Marissa said, we are from Southern Maryland, so we do have a little bit of a drive here this evening. But I did want to highlight a couple things here this evening. We focused a lot on our client stories and how impactful they were. And again, just think about the staff behind those stories that were up here with the emotion of sharing those with you. And everything they do day in and day out is so meaningful to really bring meaning to our clients' lives. So thank you on behalf of the board. Thank the staff here tonight for all of their hard work. So we really appreciate it. I think it's also important to note, Carrie and her team highlighted some of the challenges ahead with both local and state funding challenges. It's important for us to sustain our business and grow our business, and having those fiscal challenges makes that difficult. So again, we challenge you to not only support us here tonight. I mean, being here in the room is a start, but to share this information with your friends, continue to work with us in our fundraising efforts, certainly see Quincy back at the table, and just continue that effort and get involved. So the more you get involved, the more we can share some of the great things that we do here. And then last, I just wanted to thank Quincy and the development team for putting on this amazing evening. It truly did illuminate hope for everybody here tonight.